This morning we'll be talking to young men who've made it in this very sector, and they'll be telling us how you can go over these challenges, and also just operating in success in this very environment. And I'm now joined in studio by Sebastian Wafula and Alan Adika. I wanted to introduce whatever industries that you run, but I thought that would be best left to you. Karibu sana to the show.
Thank you.
Before we get to business startups, what exactly do you do, Sebastian?
Well, I'm CEO of Drink Media, which is an online marketing company. We specialize in web design, social media strategy, and execution. Yes.
Alan?
I'm the CEO of Atman Communications Limited, and basically what we do is marketing, PR, and advertising, with creativity being our niche. Yeah.
Correct. Now I'm seated amongst I think I'm the only one who's not a CEO here. But be that as it may, we're talking about startups, and a lot of young people have come out to put out their own businesses and saying, yes, we may not have employment opportunities, but we can start our own. You know, and probably for Sebastian, what drove you to set up your company? Was it just a need or need to survive? What exactly drove you there?
No, I've always had it in me that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And from my experience, since I was 10, a lot of people are telling me, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. So it was just a matter of time till I made the decision to leave employment and started my own company.
How was that? Just woke up and said,
it's a lot like bungee jumping.
Your boss and tell him,
no.
Peace.
I was actually at the office
watching
a very inspirational video by the late Steve Jobs. He gave a commencement speech at Stanford.
Correct.
The one about stay foolish, stay hungry. So after that, I just walked up to him and said, let this be my last day. And that was it. No looking back. Yeah.
Interesting. Alan,
Yes.
how was it for you setting up your own? I mean, one of the benefits, of course, of setting up your own is that you're the boss, you're the CEO.
Yeah.
But then leaving, because we all can't start there. How was the beginning for you?
Basically, actually, for me, it was, I stumbled upon the opportunity to start a new business. And I sat down one day and thought, you know, first of all, my former job, I had to wake up very early. And that was something that really frustrated me. And I saw the opportunity also to become my own boss, be in charge of my own time. And I believe my time is the most valuable thing. I really value my time. And I said, if I can leave employment, I can do this while I'm still employed. And I thought, if I have the control of my time, I can basically do 3 times more or 4 times more.
Correct.
And that's what drove me to actually start the business and push on. Yeah.
And of course, when you talk about being your own boss or setting up your own business, it has to be something that you love doing. You know, the problem with employment is that most of us are made to do, maybe not most of us, some of us are made to do what you don't like. So you probably have the competence. You've either gotten qualification and you've gotten skill, but you really don't like it. Do you like what you do, or for you was just, let me be my own boss for something that I just want to do, or it has to be something that you're passionate about?
The passion definitely has to be there. I loved all the jobs that I used to do because I was doing something that I was passionate about. So if you want to enter into business, it has to be something that you have a passion for, something you can wake up late, or you can sleep late, or you stay up late or wake up early to do. There's a lot of hard work and a lot of dedication that goes into getting a business off the ground. So a lot of that drive comes from doing what you love. Money becomes a secondary issue. Yeah, it's the passion and the drive that actually sets you apart, because when you go to pitch for a job to a client, they can actually see whether you're passionate or not. Yes.
Correct. Now, we'll talk a bit about money in a bit, but let's just talk about passion. I may like to do this thing that I want to set up as my business, but I may not have the competence to do that. How was it for you? Was your background in IT? Because I realize your industry is internet based. Was it around IT, or you have to pick the competence as you move on?
I studied computer science at the university, but none of the classes that I did there taught me about social media. So a lot of what we do comes from internet trends, a lot of research, and homework on our part.
Yes.
So the internet is a very useful resource that people don't know. It has everything. It has Google, it has Wikipedia. In fact, there's a video I saw once that it will take you roughly about 25 years to read the whole of Wikipedia if you were to start today.
Wow.
That's a lot of knowledge packed into one resource. So whatever you're looking for, you can find it online. So if you don't have the means or the opportunity to go to institutions of higher learning, that doesn't mean that you cannot learn. A lot of the universities and institutions are into open learning materials. A good example is the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT. They usually have open courseware that's online on their website. So that's the same course content that's taught within the walls of the university. You can get it free from their website. So you can actually have a degree from there without ever having to step into one of those classes. Now you can imagine how much a degree at the university costs, and you can get it for free, right? So it's just a matter of thinking outside the box. If you don't have the expertise or the background, go out and get it. That's now part of the passion. Yeah, you're passionate enough about something to want to learn more about it. Yeah.
All right, great. Now, you've identified, hey, I want to set up my own. This is what I want to do. I'm passionate about it. Let's talk about the money, because I think that's the elephant in the room, really. When he talks about startups, ideas are great. Kenyans have ideas, but it all comes down to the money and capital. Alan, you quit employment, set up your own. Where did you get the money?
I had something called an angel. In investment terms, that means someone who actually has the money to finance it. And when I was approaching him, I remember meeting him at the mall. He's a friend of mine. And I told him, you know, I have this great business idea, and you should take a listen to it and maybe tell me if you would like to invest in it. He said, okay, contact me. And, you know, 2 months down the line, I contacted him and we sat down and I gave him the business plan and everything. And he was like, okay, I'll give you the money to start it up. And that's how I ended up getting into the business, because I'm in love with my business. I am so passionate about it. And my business revolves around creativity. We mix passion with creativity. And for us, the satisfaction of the customer, not only in terms of their sales or the target, that extra feel that, yes, I'm different. That's what drives us to actually be the best. Yeah.
Sebastian, I had a very interesting profile of you here, and you practically brought your company from nothing to something. Tell us about that.
Well, my company started as an idea. I woke up one day and I said, today I'm going to make 1 million shillings. That's how it started.
Okay.
Now from there, you ask yourself, how do you make 1 million shillings? Not rather, you need to get it out of the mindset of that I can't, and more into the mindset of how can I do it, right? Then once you get into that mindset, you start seeing the opportunities around it. One of our biggest breaks came through the incubator where we sat in. It's called the NILAB.
Okay.
It's on Ngong
Yeah,
Road.
I've heard of it. Ngong Road, Silicon Valley.
Yeah,
Yes.
Ngong Road, Silicon Valley.
Yes.
So one of the founders of the NILAB then was the friend of a friend of mine. And they heard that I was starting a business, and they were like, hey, why don't you apply for incubation, right? So you go through the application process, they vet your business, they check whether it's
What do they
viable.
require? What do they check?
Just your idea. Just submit your idea. Once they vet it, they see this is a viable business. Let's call them in. So they give you space to work. They give you resources to work. That's internet, space, an office basically. So they give you. We did the calculations, roughly about 1 million shillings worth of resources in a year.
Interesting.
Yeah. Then on top of that, they give you mentorship. Mentorship from experienced people. Mentorship from people who know investment, venture capitalists and angel investors, as Alan has put it. So these are the guys who give you the bridge between the success of your business and your idea. So once your idea gets in there, it's nurtured. You get mentored every week on different aspects of business, from market research to product placement to business strategy to all the way to price modeling.
Yes.
Then as you learn, you draft your business plan, which becomes now more concrete and more comprehensive. And you get the kind of resources you need to scale from startup to SME to corporate to conglomerate, right? So once you determine where you are, then they can link you to the appropriate kind of investor. Then the venture capitalist or investor comes in and buys a stake in your business, or you'll find that once your product starts selling, you might not even need an investor. Case in point, our company. Once we started rolling out our products and services, we never actually needed an investor. So that's how we've grown slowly from nothing to something. So it's not only restricted to NILAB, there is also the iHub, there is also 88 MPH, which are in links with the human IPO. So there are many, the opportunities are there. As long as you have the idea, you need to start thinking of how you can make the idea come to be. A lot of Kenyans are stuck in the idea phase. Execution is key.
Yes.
One of the people I look up to is called Jerry Rionke. She's come from far. She's come from being a hairdresser to selling yogurt to starting a multi-million shilling company.
To Ignite Consulting. That's
yes.
it.
So one of the take-homes I took from one of her speeches was that execution is key. A lot of Kenyans are a lot about ideas and talk. No one is about walking.
It ends at the idea stage where you talk in the bar and you're like, I have this great idea, and that's it.
That's it. No one is about walking the talk. The minute you start walking your talk, something happens. You'll just see it all falling into place. And the government, private sector have done their part to create this opportunity. So there's really nothing to complain about.
All right. We'll just take a pause right there. And of course, it's a little easy. I've covered intensely startups and business ventures on the Ngong Road, Silicon Valley, and brilliant people coming up with ideas. And it seems almost easy, I'm using my words very carefully, to set up an internet-based business. But then, Alan, your kind of business that is more not so dependent on internet and it's more on communication. How easy is it for an ordinary young person out there who says, hey, I've been working for 2-3 years, but I've realized maybe I need to take it to a notch higher. I want to get into this kind of business. I may not have an incubation facility like MLab and iHub, and my business is totally not internet-based. How do I get off the ground?
In our industry, basically, number one, your image really matters. For example, we do PR. You see, I can't come and tell you I'll do your PR if mine is in the very bad state. Now, for someone who wants to start up a communications company, you need to know who you're. There's a lot of competition, yet the cake is so big that everyone can have a piece. You need to know
I like
where
the
you're
positivity. It's enough for everyone.
It's enough for everyone because considering there are over about 240 marketing companies in Kenya. And we have, of course, the top 100. And when you come in, you're not in the top 100 yet. So what happens?
You're not even an SME.
You're not even an SME because, I mean, most of the time when you start this company, you're by yourself. The basic thing, what clients always want to know is what have you done? It's always good you take a project, a startup project, maybe work with a small company. Now build that company. You have to use your resources, your time, your energy, and your talent. You have to build it and make it something substantial. Once you take that, you can now take it to a client, a bigger client, and say, hey, I built this, and we did this, and we took them from this point to this point. Now, once they're there, you have something to sell. But you know, the problem is that we, being the young people, which is Generation Y, we are very impatient. We want to start the company today.
You want your money and you want it now.
Make $1 million tomorrow, be a billionaire by tomorrow, and have a, enjoy the perks of being a rich person. But it's not like that. You have to start from somewhere. Take something small, work with a small project, make that project substantial, not necessarily big, but hit the target, hit the nail on the head. And then now you can take it to a bigger company and say, hi, we are small, but we did this, and it will give you mileage. And with time, you roll out and clients start coming in. Actually, you become overwhelmed.
Interesting. We'll just get back to that. If you're joining us now, this is Tuesday morning and we're having our early morning business chat. We're talking about business startups, and I'm talking to two fine gentlemen who've taken their businesses off the ground, and we're looking at how can young people get into this area of business startups and make them succeed and sustain them. And so You are free to join the conversation on our SMS line 8040, or you can join through our Twitter handle at KTN Business or at Bonitunya or at KTN Kenya. I'll be more than glad to sample your views and comments. And of course, in studio, I'm with Sebastian Wafula and Alan Adika, two great men who've taken their businesses off the runway and they're flying. Now, Sebastian.
Yes.
1 year. You were once incubated, basically you were crippled, yeah?
Yes.
You had to stand using someone else's support. Now you're running your own. How is the transition, especially? He mentioned angel investors, these incubation centers. There are all these support structures that are there for startups. How smooth are the transitions for the many young people who probably get into this to the point that now they're saying, hey, I think I can now fly. I think I can even employ people. How was the transition for you?
Well, planning is key. Execution has to be right.
Yes.
One thing you learn in business is that not everything goes according to plan. So you really have to be dynamic and flexible. And you have to pray. There's always that element that things go well. Having faith in people becomes an issue because you're so used to being your entrepreneur, being your own boss, running your own show the way you want. But with growth, you need to have faith in people that they can do how you've envisioned it to be done. So you need to find the right people. That's also something that you need to consider because they may not come cheap. A lot of businesses are all about let's cut expense. So you might opt for the most affordable employee who may not be the right employee, right? So you need to pick the person who's fit for the job. And if they're asking for an arm and a leg, find a way to afford them because your business will grow and the arm and a leg will now start seeming like 2 cents a few months down the road. So that's the difficult part when you're doing that transition, getting the right team, having the right strategy and executing it right. Yeah. Then in the execution, as I said, not everything goes according to plan. So you really need to be dynamic and see that the plan is not going according to plan. So let's change it.
Interesting. Back to you, Alan. Of course, him is coming from a point of view where there are structures. There are lots of other young people who are setting up whatever kinds of business, no structures at all. We've talked of angel investors, we've talked of incubation centers. What other opportunities are there for young people to access credit? Because that is usually the problem. Someone will say, we have great ideas, I know exactly how to do it, I know where to do it, but I don't have the resources to start it up. What are these other, apart from angel investors and people like IHAB who are supporting, what other opportunities are there for the young people to tap in when they want to set up business?
One thing, actually in Kenya, we have venture capital companies, and that's one thing that's not been taken advantage of. One thing, what I have noticed with young people is that, as I said, we want it now. Now, a business plan is very essential. Not many people actually know how to even do a business plan. We take it for granted. We say, okay, fine, I want to start this and that, and I believe I'll make money and stuff. But you see, we haven't taken time to research. We haven't taken time to look at what we are, the short-term and middle and long-term goals. Yeah. Now, there's a place in Westlands. Other resources also are similar to incubation as the Business Lounge, which is a part of Ignite Consulting, and just for 15,000 shillings a month, you have a support system. The IT staff will support you. The marketing staff and PR staff will also support you. You have a designing team there, and you get a place to work, a professional place to roll out your services. You see, now for 15,000 shillings a month, I think that's very amazing. Yeah, it's something. If you decide all I have to do is just make 15,000 shillings a month, you can actually make it. Yeah. Again, angel investors are actually bigger, because I'd come to you, let's say Bonnie or Sebastian, and say to Sebastian, I need 200,000 shillings to start this business, and I have to tell Sebastian when I'll break even and stuff. Yeah, but we don't know that, because most of the time, as he said, you have an idea but you sit on it. Execution is key. When you have the idea, regardless of whether you have the money or not, if you need 500,000 shillings, why not go for it? Go to a VC, tell them, I need 500,000 shillings for my venture, they will tell you the steps you need to take, and they will give you the money, because once you have a business plan considering all the risks, all the opportunities, basically doing a SWOT analysis. Yeah,
correct.
They will give you the money. Yeah, even an angel investor, they will give you the money. Yeah, we have also virtual offices in Westlands, a place called Regis. For just 8,000 shillings a month, you have a place to call an office. Yeah,
exactly. And why I was bringing that, because that is one of the biggest impediments to young people. They say, "Hey, I have this business idea, but I can't afford an office." And while we look at the hurdles on the way, like an office, I can't afford, and it all affects even the branding that he was talking about. Which brings me to the next point, was having, as a young person, you're getting in on the stage and you're going against big guys who've already been there, people who can invest in big PR firms to improve their image. How do you manage your brand to ensure that your brand is something that I could pay for? Sebastian.
Well, passion. Big brands sometimes lack passion, right?
Yes.
You need to convince that client why your little company needs to take on that big client whenever they're handling their products or campaigns, right? So the way us guys pitch is we capture the attention of the right people. Rather than us walking into your office and telling you, give us 10 minutes of your time, we do something that will get your attention and get you to call us and ask us, how did you do
what
that?
would this be? I just might quit tomorrow. Set up my own.
Right? So you really need to get into that mentality of you need to be innovative. Don't be afraid to imagine and be inspired. Those are the 3 selling points whenever you're pitching to a client, right? So no matter how small you are, and you're innovative, your ideas have imagination, and you have the inspiration. The client will see that in the way you execute, right? Execution is key. Again, I cannot emphasize that enough, because I said a lot of Kenyans are about work, so you need to be about talk. And to capture someone's attention, the way Alan started up, he said he started with smaller businesses, scaling them up. And once the smaller businesses were scaled up, you can leverage that experience to a bigger client, and now you move up and up, right? So you need to get the attention of the right people. So you need to ask yourself, how do you get the attention of that person? Like whenever I take applications, people are always applying to be hired by us guys. So I don't take CVs, I don't take cover letters. I just simply tell them, this is my email address, impress me.
Tough boss.
Not tough, because even when people ask what I do, I just tell them to Google me. Yeah, Google will answer all their questions. So when they type in Sebastian Wafula, they'll see the website, they'll see everything that I do, and they will be impressed.
Sebastian, let's just dig in a bit. You've said you've brought out some very important things. You've talked about imagination. You've talked about execution. In practical terms, for example, your kind of business, what would entail that? If I want to stand out, what would being imaginative or passionate or having excellent execution entail?
Well, if you're on Twitter or social media networks, you'd know what's trending, right?
Yes.
Like the current trend on Facebook are the memes, these funny pictures with the funny statements, right?
Yes.
So how viral such a meme goes determines how many the attention of how many people whose attention you've captured, right? So if I decide to make a meme today and I say this is going to reach 1 million people, right? You make it reach 1 million people, and that's your pitch. You simply go and say, this picture reached 1 million people. So I can get your product to 1 million people. So come with us and let's see how you can do it. So that's an example. Another, if you go on Twitter, Twitter has hashtags that trend. So how do you start a hashtag that trends? Kenyans are very vibrant on Twitter. I think we're the #2 in Africa to utilize Twitter to its maximum. And I bet we've captured Twitter's attention. That Kenyans are really somebody to watch, people to watch. Because if you look at the case of Tunisia and Egypt, I mean, governments have been overturned through social media. So that goes to show the power. So if there's a manager out there who does not believe in the power of social media, you need to tell them that our government was overturned using social media. One tweet overturned a dictatorial government.
Yes.
Right? So they need to be aware. They need to watch out. If they don't embrace it, then they will die. Yes.
Interesting. Alan, let's talk about branding.
Yeah.
You've started a small company. You're going to get the big boys. How do you ensure that when people see you, they take you seriously? When people see your brand, they know it's a force to reckon with?
Okay. I mix that with a couple of things. One is what I do. I started out selecting certain projects that can get the attention of the big boys. The projects for me had to mean that I want my company to represent this. One of the things we say at Artman is that you have to understand the client, not know the client. We know the client already, but we want to understand the client. Understanding a client's needs is very essential. That goes a long way in branding, because should someone want, as I said, the cake is big. We know our part of the cake. Another thing is partnerships. And as we speak, like Trink Media and Artman are in a social media partnership. Basically, they do social media for all our clients, you see. That is essential because when it comes to my brand, and I associate it with a partner who's very good at what they do, who are number one, it goes a long way in knowing that you're serious people, yeah? So I normally say anything out there, when you're going to meet a client, when you're walking out there, when your employees, you know, it says a big, because your brand is basically what another person perceives of your company or your work.
Yes.
So when you're online, your website, what does your website say? Yeah, because we invested heavily in our website. The content on your website is important. Are you reachable? You know, the little things really matter. Yeah, and most people who start up a company forget that a website is essential. You have a website, or it doesn't have the proper information, or the numbers you've given there is you're unreachable. 2 is where your office is. As I said, like the business lounge, perfect place to work, very accessible, very professional, high profile. You see, if you're targeting someone, for example, from the
And I think
blue
this
chip
has been
company,
the challenge.
Yeah.
Most young people say, hey, I want to put up my business, but I can't afford Upper Hill or Westlands.
Yeah.
You know, probably I can afford the 4th Street of Tomboya.
Yeah.
Well, someone can't access it. How then do we bridge this to ensure that I can have my business in a place that is accessible and considered prime, and still be affordable for me, because I don't have the money to pay up Upper Hill or Westlands?
Well, you need to stop having this negative approach. I've noticed you've been saying, I can't afford, I can't afford, I can't afford.
I'm speaking for the young people of this country who are watching, and they're saying,
these same young people need to get into the mindset of how can I afford, how can I afford, how can I afford. When you ask yourself that kind of question, you'll be amazed at the innovation that comes out. Recently, there was a guy who was highlighted on CNN for creating solar-powered lanterns. This is a guy who's come from a place where there's no electricity, and he's like, hey, how can my children read at night? How can I get rid of this problem?
Yes.
And you see the kind of innovation that comes out. And the media is very good at highlighting such stories. And one thing these young people don't know is that Africa is now the biggest emerging market in the world. So if you take those things together, put them in a pot, and you cook them with your ideas, you need to get out of the how I can't, more into how can it be done.
You have to be positive first.
How can this be done? How can that be done? So if you're looking to build your brand, it starts all the way from the name. What you ask yourself, what makes a successful brand? Do your homework. The internet is there. The government has done its part to make it practically free. You can go to a cyber and browse at 50 cents a minute. Take a whole week at the cyber. Trust me, your brand is worth investing your time in. I started on my brand ever since I was 18. And it only came out after I finished campus, which was the time I was 23, right? So it's worth the effort that you put in, and if you get into the mindset of how can this happen? Classic case in point, you're saying you can only afford that office on Tomboya Street. How much is the rent there? Suppose it's 15,000. Now you need to pay 3 months deposit and 1 month rent, which is about 60,000, right? So how can you afford 60,000? And when you have that 60,000, would you put it in Tomboya Street
establishment? Not really.
You'd think twice before you do that, right?
Yes.
Given who are the clientele that you want to get, who are the people you want buying your products, would those people be walking on Tomboya Street?
Yeah.
Right? Because Tomboya Street has its own clientele.
Yes.
The people who are big business on Tomboya Street. Take these bus companies, they are all on River Road. Why? Because their market is on River Road. If all those bus companies moved to, say, Loiter Street, right, would they have market? These people who want to travel on the fly, they cannot go all the way to Loiter Street because they feel out of place, right? So there's big business that happens on Tomboya Street,
So you
the
have to
River Road, and
understand
things like that.
where you market.
Yes. So understanding your market is also key into placing your location. Because Donald Trump has said location, location, location. You hear this thing called location, location, location. Yes, location matters because of the clientele you're targeting.
Yeah.
If you take a big conglomerate like McDonald's, McDonald's actually dictate where you're going to put their store. Why? Because they own the land where the McDonald's store is going to be. So you see, they're more of a real estate company than a franchise because all their stores are on the land that they own. And you pay them all those land rates and the rent and things like that. So they make money 1 million times over. So what you're doing determines who you target.
Yes.
And who you target determines a lot about the marketing strategy. And part of that marketing strategy is your location. Location is key.
All right, interesting. Okay, so we've agreed. Let's be positive here for the sake of the answer. Let's be positive. But then the branding is not just about visibility. It's about recognition. It's about a reputation that you hold, you know. And most people don't want to entrust big business to people who say, oh, there's a new company here. They want to have had, you've done something before. And I know Alan talked about taking up smaller projects. But then I think the problem is, how then do we, just the entry into the market. I could have set up an excellent location, have hired the best guys around, and I'm in the right business. But then just getting in that bit, because in any business startup, there's that long plateau before you actually make your first,
Yes.
What was that like for you, having set up your own businesses? Or maybe we could have started with Alan.
Okay, what I'll tell you is this, as you said, you've hired the best people, you have what it takes, and sometimes as a company, when you have gotten all the other things right, go to the big company, tell them, hi, we do this, introduce yourself. Now, one of the things you can do to get in their good books is say, I heard you guys, or you've researched, of course.
Yes.
Research is very key. You tell them, you want to do this and that, we could do this for you, and you can take up the project for free. You say, for example, I'd do it for 1 month, whatever it is, you do it for this certain time, and you do it for free. Now, many people don't think of that because they think they might be turned down. When you're going to do your pitch, as I said, the passion, the drive, you know, a client will be able to know, you just want my money, or a client will be like, okay, you're just here because you have to be here, or something. You see, when you combine that, you have your best people, use them. I mean, if you're paying someone 100,000 shillings per month and they're your best person, make use of them. Go into the company, say, we can afford, we can do this, and we do it to the best of our ability. That is how you get into the books of the big companies. It's never easy. You'll be turned down severally.
Yes.
But the more you keep going, the more you try, the more effort you put, it actually works
Because
out.
there's actually brand building by association.
Yes.
People knowing that you work with other people.
Yeah. And, and another thing is also going for business events, allowing you to network. Very, very important. As a new company, you want to go to places where you
What is the culture of young people as regards to networking?
Some of them are really passionate about it. If you look at the Silicon Valley world, then there's a lot of networking. There's at least 2 or 3 events a week where you network with big people. And thanks to now places like the NILab, the MLab, the iHubs, they bring the CEOs of these companies to look at the innovation that's going on. Like the other day, Chris Kirubi was in the building where the NILab and iHub sit, but he had come to buy stuff for his kitchen. He just pressed the wrong floor, and when he came out, he's come into the NILab. So he's asking, is this where they sell kitchens? Then they're like, no, So now everyone realized that this is Chris Kirubi. So the lady over there is called Lynn. She's like, yes, this is the Nile Lab where we do a lot of incubation and innovation. So why don't I take you on a tour? It'll only take less than 5 minutes. And by the end of the day, he walked out. 2 weeks later, Capital Digital came to be.
Interesting.
And you
so networking.
Yes,
networking.
Networking.
Just like location.
Even there are some people who have the notion that your network is your net worth, right? So how many people? What can you build from your relationships, right? It can start from family, friends, and things like that.
Yes.
Something Alan failed to mention is that you can source capital from your chama. Right? As long as your idea is brilliant, people can pull money together and give it to you. Provided that you have a payback plan. There's some banks that can actually bend over backwards to help you because you're a startup. And they leverage now things like the Youth Enterprise Fund and things like that. Government initiatives.
Correct.
Because the government has the grants, international partners have grants. They're practically throwing money at good ideas. Whether it's good
I like the way you look at things from a very positive angle. But before we proceed on that, I'd like us also to delve in a bit about the partnerships that we set up on the way as we set up startups. And these are the people who would come and hold our hands in terms of partnerships and investing in our businesses. And what kind of structures do we put in place to ensure that we don't lose out in all this? But that and much more we'll be talking a bit later. Now, if you're joining us now, before we take a break, we have been talking about business startups and the challenges they're facing in the Kenyan market. And I'm talking in studio to Alan Adika and Sebastian Wafula, both young people who've put up their businesses and they've taken off. And we're looking at how then do we overcome these hurdles? How then do we go over this situation and ensure that we are successful Kenyans? And remember, you can join this conversation on our SMS line 8040 or our Twitter handle. And in a little bit, just after this first part, we'll be going and inviting your views, and I'll be sampling that. So feel free to send in your questions, any clarifications, any comments and submissions to the guests in studio. Remember, we are talking about business startups and the challenges they're facing in the Kenyan market on the KTN Sunrise Business every Tuesday morning. Just before we take a break, Sebastian, you've mentioned chamas. And when we talk about trying to source for money, there are all these other people that get into the line. They're the partners, they're your family, all these people who want to put their money in your business. How is the environment in terms of drafting and setting up these partnerships to ensure that the person who actually is a vision carrier at the end of the day gets value for his idea?
Well, you need a lawyer. A lot of people don't know the law, right?
Yes.
When it comes to such partnerships.
Correct.
Friendship and money tend to have friction when one goes south.
Yes.
If your friendship goes south, then your money is bad. If your money goes south, then your friendship is bad.
Correct.
Now you see, you need a legal perspective saying that this is a business transaction. I came to you asking for money. I promise to repay it back by this time. And the best way to make sure that your idea is yours and you own it, you pay it back. You take a loan. You don't allow them to invest. So you say, I'm taking a loan of 1 million shillings from 200 people. Each of them are giving me X amount of money, right? And the payback period, there's a grace period of about 6 months, which now your idea will turn around into small business. And from the turnover and revenues you're making, you're actually paying out these business loans. One thing you haven't noticed is that you're paying out these loans tax-free. Right, so you don't get taxed. You don't get taxed before, because how you get your salary when you're employed is that you pay taxes first.
Yes.
Then you repay your loans that you've taken. But when you're a business, you pay your loan first, then you pay taxes last. So you see, there's that bit of leeway. Actually, 25% of leeway.
I hope KRA is not watching this. but Alan, just to bring you in, you mentioned angel investors and these people who you realize my idea is really big. I may not be able to take it off the ground by myself. How then, of course, I'll need people to put their money in this. How do you ensure that your partnerships are concrete? That at the end of the day, having worked with this investor for 3-4 years and you feel like probably it's time to part ways, or probably it's time to have even proper structures where you'll invite even more shareholders. How do you ensure that the vision carrier does not lose his idea in the process?
One, an angel investor, most of them, you want to grow with them. When you bring them on board, you ask them to partner with you instead of more of like borrowing a loan, as you said. You see, when you get an angel investor to partner with you, they can help you grow. They are your lifeline to your business. Should anything go wrong, they should be able to chip in a bit. Now, how to make sure it works is, with time, of course, you have the proper vision. You know how to execute the idea. Get these people and let them know of everything that's happening. Use their networks to also help grow the business. And after 3 years, instead of parting ways, you can maybe tell them, this is where we've reached. This is how much we're worth, and this is what we're looking to do, and inform them. You'll find that most angel investors, some of them have a lot of extra money. And sometimes what they do is they keep that money aside and they see how you'll grow. You find that if you reach your targets in those 3 years, they give you more money to expand. So it depends on your passion and your drive. If you want it in 3 years, you can do it in 3 years.
So it's value for value.
It's value for value because they want to see value in money. Because at the end of the day, when they're giving you also that money, remember, they're also taking a risk.
Correct.
And an angel investor will never just give you full out money. They'll give you enough to work with. And from there, they'll sit back and watch you. With time, as you break even, they see what profits. They want to see how much is this giving me. I mean, I could easily put this money somewhere else, but I've invested in this. Is it a worthy business?
What I was gunning at is because we've seen a lot of ideas out there in the market run by different people, and then someone else comes up and said, hey, that was my idea. I went to preach at this multinational, and they told me it wasn't good enough. Then a month later, I see it up there, you know, and a lot of cases have happened. Well, in the West, we've seen people who come up with ideas actually get value for it. Just before we take on the SMSs that are quite a number already, we were talking about the issue of ownership. And we brought this idea. I have a brilliant idea. I share it with this guy who has a lot of money. I pitch it to them and they say, no, it's not good enough. And then 2 months down the line, I see it somewhere. Alan, you're laughing. You've seen that before?
I've actually, many people on the Ignite Gumzo event, they were asking, what about people who steal your idea? You know, number one, own your idea. I mean, this is your passion. Own it. Two, when you're pitching your idea to someone, you can get them to sign a confidentiality agreement.
Correct.
Telling them that whatever I'm giving you, the contents of my business idea, you cannot ever display them anywhere else. It limits the person because should they do that business, of course they will follow your business plan. So as you said, get a good lawyer. When you're starting a business, your lawyer should be your number one friend, because he will take you through the hoops. And you know, should you come to me and with a good business idea and it fails, I cannot do anything about it. It's your idea and it will go further. So,
but then lawyers are some of the most expensive people to hire. How do you go about that?
Well, there are law firms and basically you need someone who will put down to tell you to say that, okay, fine. You can get a lawyer for as cheap as even 5,000 shillings, just for a confidentiality agreement. You're making an investment in your business. It's just not 5,000 shillings just for that period, because that 5,000 shillings will stop someone from making millions from your business idea.
Sebastian, have you faced that?
Yes, of course, legal fees are very expensive, but then you ask yourself, how can you afford it, right? Lawyers socialize. They go to pubs, they go to social centers and things like that. So you can go and consult them while they are there. I mean, buying for a high-flying lawyer a few drinks can cost you at most 10,000 bob, but he will give you legal advice worth $1 million. So you've gotten $1 million shillings worth of legal advice for 10,000 bob. Then you can even choose to make it a frequent thing. So you say, every Saturday I'll be buying you drinks from 3 to 5. Then as he comes, of course you're discussing over drinks, you ask him how his business, then he asks you how his business, you say, oh, I'm having this kind of thing, things like this. Then he'll tell you, this is the kind of stuff that you need to do. Then on top of that, you also need to do your homework. The government has the Kenya Industrial Property Institute right here in South Sea, behind your studios. You can go there and get all the information you need about protecting your idea.
Correct.
Emphasis is on owning your idea. So you need to know as much as what the law says about your kind of idea. You can even find that some ideas cannot be owned, right? They can just be protected under copyrights, but cannot be protected under patents.
Yes.
Patents are different. Patents are worldwide, right? So you can find that your idea, probably someone else has thought about it. That's the first instinct that you should get. When you have an idea, probably someone else has thought about it, right? Yes. Now, as I said before, execution becomes key. Who's going to get the money first, right? Because should you go into court, someone who did something about the idea will have now the head start, because now there'll be documentation that this guy actually presented this document on this day. So according to the documentation, it's this guy who had the idea first. A good example to use is how Facebook came about. Correct. Right? Facebook was the idea of some Harvard students who called Mark Zuckerberg to come and implement it for them. It wasn't really what Facebook is now, but you could say it was 60% the idea, right? If you go and watch the movie or read a book, and you'll know, because it's protected by legal things that you can't really talk about it, right? So what he did is that he took the idea, modified it a bit, and thus came Facebook. Then there was a lot of legal tussle about who owned the idea and things like that. Then they ended up being a payout. The payout was, I think, to the tune of $600 million. But now Facebook owned Facebook, the idea, and now that's it. So if you're really stealing idea, make sure you can run with it and make sure you have the legal money to
But then what you're saying is that there are provisions to do this, and you don't have to spend the big money on doing this. You can go around it through your networking skills and just get to know. Even you may not have the document, but you know what you're required when you're getting into such an agreement.
Yes.
Okay, correct. Just before we jump into the SMSs and response from our viewers, you guys have been able to take businesses off the ground.
Yes.
And I've heard about Ignite Gumzo.
Yes.
What's that about?
Ignite Gumzo is a networking and interactive segment that's held on the first Thursday of every month at the Business Lounge, which is the Junction, 4th floor. Now, what Ignite Gumzo seeks to do is sort out your business challenges, basically, discuss them. You can come and network, interact in a fun way. It's just not someone coming to tell you, so today your business is bad, you should do A, B, C, D. No, it's a matter of what do you experience. You can do this, you can meet people, you can team up, you know. And that's how even the ideas of raising money, getting funding from Chamas came about. So what we're doing this Thursday, which is 2nd of August, we are now telling people, how can you get your company fully funded? You know, how can you get the Chamas to invest in you, the angel investors? How can you get them? How can you position yourself for full funding? That is basically the idea. And one of the people we'll have, and he's our main guest, he's called Paul Kavuma from Catalyst Principle. Paul managed to raise $100 million in private equity funds.
Wow.
And all this money, $100 million is 8.3 billion shillings. And all this money is to invest in various businesses and ideas around East Africa. Now, what people don't know, again, networking. Going for these events, it might look like, yeah, I'm going. It's very important. For example, you go and meet Paul. You strike him as a very smart person. And he says, I like your business idea. You'd have spent 1,000 shillings for Ignite Gumzo at the expense of getting your business idea fully funded. We're just going to interact and see some of the challenges that are facing. With Sebastian, who's going to be there with us, he will be talking about how he started his company from 0 Kenya shillings and took it to the top. So those are some of the things we're going to be talking about.
Interesting. Great. Now, if you just join us now, you're a bit late, but still a little bit of minutes to go. We are talking about how to take business startups off the ground and the challenges they face in the Kenyan market and how to go around them. In studio, I'm joined by Alan Adika and Sebastian Wafula, two young men who've taken their businesses off the ground. And remember, you can join this conversation through the SMS line 8040 or through our Twitter handle at KTN Kenya or at KTN Business. Time to jump into the SMSs. And this one says, hi, I'm a student in a college, have have ever had in mind that one time, if not soon, I will start a business. I've had the idea, but defeated to those to what business exactly to start. And but I have the urge to start a business. I also do not have the funding. What can I do? This is Dickens from Mombasa.
Dickens from Mombasa. So one of the forums he can join is like the Ignat Gumzo. And thanks to technology, being in Mombasa doesn't mean that you have to come to Nairobi to attend.
Yes.
Right. You can also you can always follow the proceedings on social media, live stream, and things like that. So based on that, at least he has the spirit of entrepreneurship. Right.
Yes.
Now all he needs is to know where the opportunities are. Yeah? He should look around him. It's like, what do people need? Where is the government investing? Where is private sector investing?
Yes.
Right? Because those are the people with money. And when money is moving from A to B, there is chance for business.
Yes.
Right? So if there is the demand, all you need to do is provide the supply.
Correct.
Right? So Mombasa, as you've just read the story about the Lamu port, right? And that means there's going to be a super highway between Mombasa and Lamu. There's going to be a super highway between Lamu and Kampala.
Correct.
And into Rwanda, right? Then there's the infrastructure that comes with such a project, right? You don't really need to look at becoming the contractor to provide the trucks or things like that. It can be the little things, like the doors that they're going to use in the whole
or
of
the
Lamu
locks.
port. Yeah, the locks, the tiny things.
Yes.
Right. So you can go, you do your research. Say in China, there's this technology where this locks is like this, and it's quite affordable when you compare it, or just simply a change in material. Like bamboo recently became a building material, right? And it's quite affordable, quite tough, right? And thanks to technology, now you can ship it all the way here and use it and apply it. And you can find if you apply bamboo, if your cost saving is 5,000 shillings per item, and you're manufacturing 5 million items, your saving is 5 billion shillings, right? So if you have such brilliant ideas, Paul, who is coming tomorrow, has $100 million, right?
To spend on you.
To spend, yes, on such ideas. So you see the money is there. As long as the idea is there, and the demand.
But then the next step is Dickens has to do something.
Yes.
He has to get off the seat and say, I want to do this.
But first he has to finish his college education.
Interesting. We want to get there. Moving on, probably this one for Alan. I'm a designer by nature. I make garments from wool. All my products are handmade. And I make products nobody can make. My problem is marketing, though I've sold a few abroad through friends. What would be your advice for this person? They didn't send their name.
For that person, what I can tell them, especially the fashion industry in Kenya, it's taking off.
Yes.
And they manufacture garments. Make use of our local market. One thing I've realized is that actually the fashion industry is actually taking off. You have at least 2 great fashion shows every single month. Go there, network. Partnerships with designers, well-known designers. You can go and tell them, I have this garment, and I think if we teamed up with something, we can sell. Don't restrict yourself to the fact that you only want to sell to people abroad. Tell him there's a lot of people. He needs to know what the competition is out here. He needs to also know who his target market is. So if it's wool garments, who are the people who are going to wear them? And what are they looking for? What are they willing to what are they willing to remove to actually purchase your garment? So he can make use of a lot of partnerships and the Kenyan market celebrities. Tell them, oh, you're going for the premiere of this, aren't you? I'll dress you up. You know, that's a very good.
There can be his or her brand ambassador.
Yeah, because you can get my favorite celebrity, Avril. You get Avril and tell Avril, hi, I think you'd look stunning in this, you know. And Avril will go on the red carpet and say, I was dressed by so-and-so and stuff. You can keep her going, and with time, people will look for you, and eventually you'll start making revenue out of it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, there's another SMS says, I've just finished campus. Very confused. That was in caps. Very confused, but with bright ideas of starting my own business now that I have the intellectual capital. How do I get access to physical capital, given that my background is very poor? Do you think that employment comes first and getting that job is also a big nightmare? This is George from Kisumu.
The first thing George needs to do is take care of the confusion. right?
Yes.
He says very confused.
Yes.
Now he's at a point in life where he needs to decide, does he want employment, does he want self-employment, right? So that's based on what are his immediate needs, right? Whether you're going into employment or self-employment, your immediate needs have to be addressed. You do not eat stones. You have to pay rent, you have to clothe yourself and things like that. So you cannot go into business hoping to make money to meet your business needs, your basic needs immediately. Businesses take time to turn around into that, right? So if you don't have that kind of momentum going, then you need to reconsider your options. How to get rid of the confusion is needs to draft a business plan. Business plans put ideas on paper and give you direction. It starts from the idea into how does the idea become a business, and how does that business become bigger business, right? Then once he has that idea on paper, then as Alan said, Paul is here with $100 million.
This is 8 billion shillings.
And he's not the only one with the $100 million. The 88 MPH recently scored $300,000 for a local startup called Futa, right? $300,000.
Wow.
That's nearly $500,000 for a local startup, right? So there are many people out there with money willing to invest in good ideas, because me, as a person who's saved, I want my money to go into somewhere.
First step, clear the confusion, put up a business plan. Well, if you're joining us, this is the early morning business chat on KTN Sunrise. We're talking about business startups and the challenges they are facing. In studio is Alan Adika and Sebastian Wafula, two great men who started their businesses and they're now off the runway and excelling. And we're just looking at how exactly we can be able to go through these hurdles. You remember, you can join this conversation. Send in your question, comments, submissions to our SMS line 8040 or our Twitter handles at KTN Kenya or at KTN Business. Now back to the question. The questions. There's an SMS says, "Good program. Thank you very much. I am in my 50s. I have passion for starting a school. Where do I start?" This is Richard.
Richard, wow.
It's never too late.
It's never too late. Yes. Business, money never sleeps. Famous quote from this gentleman.
Yes. Wall Street,
money never sleeps.
I see you watch the right kind of movies.
Money never sleeps. What I can tell him, I want as many people to come to the Ignite Gumzo this Thursday. If you feel, the people who feel confused, and Richard, if you want to start a school, come and we will brainstorm. You know, basically, you know, when you start a school, of course, you need to know, do you want to start a kindergarten? And I'm sure he sounds like he knows, or you sound like you know you want what kind of school you want to start. And the beautiful thing about this investment forum this Thursday at the Ignite Gumzo, at the Business Lounge, is that Paul, being an investor, he will tell you how you can attract investments. You will have many people. He will help brainstorm your ideas and challenge yourself. So for Richard, this Thursday, I'll see you there. Yes.
All right. Moving on, there's another SMS from Millicent. She says, "I'd like to practice landscaping business, but my problem is how I will get clients. What can I do with this problem?"
There's a basic pitch. Capture the right person's attention.
Yes.
How does her garden look if she wants to do landscaping? Charity begins at home, so let her start there, right? Let her do a manicured lawn, a picket fence that's second to none. Take a picture of it and share it, right? You never know whose attention that might capture, right? Personally, I'm also looking for a landscaper, right?
So you got business right here.
Yes. So you see, if she never got my attention, I'd probably still be looking, right?
So she has to find out a way of putting out her business.
Yes.
Somewhere someone can see this is what she's doing. Photographs or whatever. Interesting. Moving on, there is an SMS from Mike. He says, "I've just tuned into your show. I'm starting my own business. Can you please go back to the fundamentals?" I think probably very quickly, Alan or whoever, touch upon a few, like 3 important things in starting a business for Mike who's just tuned in.
Idea, business plan, execution. Yes.
Concise.
I wouldn't say it any other way.
All right, Mike. So there you have it. It's idea, business plan, and execution. Okay. There is another SMS any minute now. This one is James from Meru County. He says, we entered into an agreement with a friend to do farming without any written document. He has now stopped communicating and is getting lost. How can I recover my money back? This is James from Meru. Probably what we would give him is just direction on exactly how to go about this. You want to take that?
No, he needs to...
After going to the police, of course. but probably looking from a moving forward.
No, he needs legal advice.
He needs legal advice.
First. The lawyer can advise
Because we don't know
him.
how much
This is the
spent.
point when you go to the police.
Yes.
Because once you go to the police, it becomes a legal process. Legal processes take time.
Yes.
And the justice system is not the fastest. But at the end of the day, justice will be served. But you need an opinion from a legal perspective.
Yes.
He's saying they never had anything written down, but there could be documentation to prove that.
Receipts.
That, there could be documentation somewhere. Either a text message or receipts, things like that, right? Now, those are the things that draw the basis that there was some form of agreement between these two. And definitely an arbitrator can resolve that. If this person is proving hard to find, then, as I said, first step is legal advice.
All right,
And
James,
I
James
gave a few
Meru
pointers
County.
on how to get affordable legal advice.
Affordable lawyers, like buying drinks to them. I'm not sure James has money for drinks right now. There's an SMS from Julius. He says, hi, how can I get an angel investor? This is Julius. Alan?
Well, research. Okay, angel investors are just not out there. Like, it's not like you can, but you need to, the people around you, again, I told you, networking.
Yes.
Sessions like Ignite Gumzo and other interactive segments, they're very important.
Yes.
When you hear someone inviting you for a marketing conference or a business summit, make sure you attend them. Because you network with people there, you get to know them. You might find someone saying, oh, maybe like Millicent with her landscaping business. Maybe she wants, she meets someone there being, I'm looking for a landscaper, you know? And you find your clients there, or you might find an investor saying, I've really wanted to invest in the marketing industry for a while, but I just don't know where to start. You see, if you attend that event and you meet this person, you'll be like, I'm actually looking for an investor, and you guys can sit down and talk it out. So networking conferences, networking events, very important. They'll be very essential for your growth. Yeah.
Sebastian, you take on that also?
He can also get on the internet and search for venture capitalists in Africa, venture capitalists in Kenya, angel investors in Kenya. There are people out there who've actually optimized their websites for that, right? Another thing I would advise him is to apply to the NILAB. Incubation is free. You don't have to pay for it. Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's move on. And there is a question here from... okay, this one I'll have to invoice Alan for this. He says, what time is the Ignite meeting group? Is it an open group? Any charges? You can just take us through what is happening again.
Ignite Gumzo is this Thursday at the Business Lounge from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Charges are 1,000 shillings and it starts at 7 p.m. Don't be late. If you want to know more, he can go to our Facebook page, Ignite Gumzo, and or follow us on Twitter at Ignite Gumzo. You'll find out more details there, but yeah, that's so far it.
For joining us now, we're talking about business startups and how to take your businesses off. This is KTN Sunrise Business every Tuesday morning, and in studio is Alan and Sebastian Wafula, two young men who started their businesses, and they're here to just look at how we can tackle the challenges that other young people are facing in their business startups. And we are having conversation with the viewers right now on our SMS line 8040 or our Twitter handles at KTN Kenya or at KTN Business. And they text here, he says, hi, I'm a private planner with a great idea to share with one of the big companies in Kenya. How can I sell that idea? I've done email for them with no response.
He probably didn't get the attention of the right people. You identify. Doing your homework is very important.
Yes.
So suppose you want to approach Equity Bank.
Yes.
Who is the decision maker at Equity Bank? A mobile solution? Is it a corporate solution? Is it a banking solution? You identify that person.
You need to know who to pitch to.
Yes. Then once you know who to pitch to, is how do you get their attention?
Correct.
Then you need to study them in terms of what are the opportunities available. He'll be at this conference, he'll be at this dinner. I'm not saying that you stalk somebody because that's illegal.
Yes.
Yeah, but you identify the opportunity.
You be strategic.
Right.
Place yourself where you can meet them.
Exactly.
Yes.
And the time you meet them, trust me, you have a span of about 10 seconds to get his attention or to get their attention. and make sure you drive the point in a
How
way
do you
that's
start this? I
convincing.
know probably, let's say I have this great business idea, and the person trying to pitch to, I only see them on TV or on newspapers. I've gotten to this cocktail, and I know I have a minute or 10 seconds to talk to them. What would be my first shot?
If it's a man, you probably want to pamper his ego. So you go, you shake his hand, firm handshake, say, I love what you do. Yes, if you can have 5 minutes or 10 minutes during some time, I have an idea which I know you'd really love to be a part of. Just simply that. So he'll be like, tell me more. So that 10 seconds has opened into tell me more. So now you have an additional 5 minutes to say what it is. So you say the idea is basically involves a B, C, D. This is the kind of resources we need to get it off the ground. This is where you play your part as your media personality or the cog in the wheel. This is where they play their part, and this is the destination, right? Case in point is how The Apprentice came to be. The producer of The Apprentice went to Donald Trump and said, this show will only take 2 hours of your time every week, 2 hours, and it'll make you $1 million every week. And look how much revenue The Apprentice is getting. It's an international show. And he's actually copyrighted the phrase, you're fired. You cannot use the phrase, you're fired on any TV or reality show without paying him royalties.
Interesting.
So you see, it's big business.
So be strategic in terms of where you want to be to make these investors. There's another SMS coming in from Kajiado. This is, hey, I'm Simon from Kajiado County and in hospitality. I'm in a dilemma on marketing. A lot of potential, but I think I may not meet clients' expectations. Now, should I do marketing or I do my homework first?
Of course, Simon, do your homework first and do marketing, because the main aim of marketing, when you're marketing for something, you have to know what it is all about. What I'd advise him to do is do your homework first. The worst thing you can do, or what you'd rather disappoint you, is when you spend money on a marketing strategy, yet it fails. And you find out that you are doing the wrong thing. So research, doing your homework, as Sebastian said, is very key. Don't do just something outright. Get onto the internet. There's so much information there. You can contact very many people, and before you market.
Quite a number. We have to really move fast to save on time, but there's Lucky from Mombasa. Good program. I'm age 35 and I want to start a business of which I have to work on that field, and I'm experienced. I have a plan on paper. I have a plan on paper. It's a laundry and dry cleaner business. I don't have capital. Please help.
All right. Laundry, dry cleaner. All right. Has he identified a location where he wants to start it up? Then there are various initiatives, as I said, by the government. So there is the Youth Enterprise Fund. If your plan is good enough, then there's a bank willing to stake you in it. Right? Banks can actually take, they can give you a loan based on, they say the guaranteed security that you're going to invest in. So if you're going to lease a building, or if you own, or if you're going to buy your premises, then that can count as security that you leverage on your bank to start the business. Then thanks to brilliant minds such as James Mwangi, Entrepreneur of the Year, his bank can actually is not too key on security, but is more into funding people with a vision. So they tend to be more flexible when it comes to funding such startups, right? Then, as I said, get online. You never know who could be looking to spend here or there. There's someone who's been working for the past 40 years. They've saved up some 5 million. They want to leave something for their children. They're looking to invest. So that also helps when you network a lot. You never know who we could find.
Regardless of the kind of business. All right, let's move on to Twitter now. And there's Dr. Miheso on our Twitter handle. He says, is it advisable to take a loan to start a poultry farm at the current bank rates?
Bank rates only determine how much you'll pay back, right? Poultry farm, the guy who owns Kenchik started with, I think, 10 chickens.
Very small, actually.
Look how big it's grown to be. So even though the interest rate was 50%, do you think his dream would have been deterred? So bank rates merely just determine how much you'll pay back. If you feel that's too big a cost to pay back, then there are other alternative sources of financing. Yeah, he can go to chamas. Personally, even my mom's chama, they've been at it for 20 years, right? Their contribution is 5,000 a month, and there are 20 women. So 20 women times 5,000 a month is how much?
100,000.
It's 100,000 a month
Yeah.
for 20 years. You can get a figure of how much money they have in the bank,
Yes.
right? So if you give them such an idea, you say you need 10 million, and the return on their investment is bigger than, suppose the biggest fixed deposit interest, which should be about 9%, right? So if you're giving them 11, 12% return on their money, then I'm pretty sure they'll be willing to risk.
Okay. Moving on, still on Twitter, there's Tubula who says, great show, Alan and Wafula. Did you have business mentors?
Okay. Yes and no. One, he's also a mentor of mine. I've been older, and he really pushes me to do. He pushes me to the wall. Sometimes I have a business idea I'm driving at, and he can drive you up the wall. You're like, yeah. But I've always admired two people. One was Michael Joseph, the former Safaricom CEO.
Yes.
I say Michael Joseph because how he built Safaricom from scratch. And I love it when you have something and you build it from nothing to something. Yeah, and that is something I've really admired. And two is rap mogul and businessman Jay-Z.
Yeah.
I say Jay-Z because you know, from having $1, as some of his music says, from having $1 in his pocket to over $500 million dollars, that is very great. Basically, the people I look up to, and also one more person is Njeri Riongi, as you said. I mean, from a hairdresser to Forbes.
Looking at your mentors, we are clearly Generation 1. Wafula, there's a question directed to you.
Yes.
Someone is saying, what is the worth of your business right now?
Net worth.
Yes, the net worth. I think that's what they meant.
All right. Put it roughly at about 2 million. Yeah.
Great. Moving on, there's Dan who sent a message. Says, I do design work, typesetting, and all other computer services work, and I work in the rural area. How can I source for more client base to go big? This is Dan.
Well, Dan, use the government as a means of expanding your client base, because in the rural areas you have government and NGOs coming in. It's always important to know what NGOs and what government projects are ongoing. Of course, there's a rural technology program where everyone is trying to get tech savvy. Yes. It's always important to get in line with these programs, because the government is always putting tenders out in the newspaper. They're always looking for people to do certain things in these rural areas. So if you can get that information, go to the ministries, Don't be afraid, talk to someone, go to the ministries, take time, go to the internet, That information is there, read the newspapers, and also the NGOs. They want these services in rural areas. Yes. You can get in line with that program and definitely tell them that you're the man for the job, and they will give you, because you find that very few people actually vouch, or rather like go for these jobs. So you already have an edge. You're ready to do it. Just get the information.
And now that we're moving into county governments, I think it's a green light for him.
It's actually very amazing. Yeah.
And also, just to add on that, there's also the article writing market, which is not only local but international.
Ghost writers.
Yeah.
Yes.
There are people willing to pay $100 a page for him to do typesetting and things like that. Earning $100 a page is not bad.
So probably he needs to move more into the internet.
Yes.
Other than just being at the physical area.
He needs to look to scale.
Yes.
Right? Scaling your business is how it grows. So yes, he set it up, at least it's there, it's set. So now how does it scale? He can get it, article writing, he can get into more business development in terms of doing the homework on county government and how his business will fit within the county, right? Then with that, he'd kind of get the kind of personnel he'll need to scale and the kind of resources he'll need to scale. So if you're really out of the box, then he can actually scale it into something big. An example I can give him is a gentleman I came across about 3-4 months ago. He started his business the same way, typesetting, stall, one computer, you come, typesetting, CVs and things like that. Then he went into tax, because KRA now moved into all digital. So he was helping people do their tax returns online, right? So now that also grew his business. So now from one computer he graduated to 2 computers. Then now he also started doing article writing. From 2 computers became 4 computers. Then now the article writing grew. Now he pumps in about $1,000 a week in article writing and KRA returns.
Interesting.
Right.
Wow. Moving on, time is really not on our side, but we'll just have to sample a few more before we take your closing comments. There's an SMS here from Helen. She says, I have 350,000 shillings stashed away. I have a passion for art. I'd like to venture into unique artifact exhibition. Where do I begin? And is this money enough for a startup? This is Helen.
Well, 300,000 shillings is definitely enough. You know, that's startup capital and working capital. If you want to venture into the art industry, it's very important to visit the galleries we have around Nairobi. Visit the galleries, see what's there, you know, get to network with people. Gallery is a very nice place to network because when it comes to art, it's a matter of beauty, what your eyes see. It's a very, you know, opinions vary, and it's a very good place to network. Visit the galleries, look at what is there, visit WAPI, where people do different kinds of art.
So network.
Just network, and you will find the right people.